Hello. How are you guys doing tonight? Now, I'm gonna try not to make this vlog as long as it was yesterday. I had no clue how long it was gonna be, and when I uploaded it and it was like 1 hour and 49 minutes, I was like, okay, I've gotta maybe not do every one so long. So tonight, I'm gonna try to make it a little bit shorter so people can catch up and that kind of stuff. I am still drinking my coffee, which I actually didn't even get until like 5:30 today. It has just been a very, a truly relaxing day. We did nothing today. So Alex, as I said, was like sick yesterday, and just progressively got sicker and sicker when he went to Chicago. Then he came home, and because of the ice storm and stuff, it took them forever to get home. So I waited up for Alex to come home, and I think he ended up like getting through the door, like, I don't know, it was like late, like really late, like early morning. And so I waited till he got home because I wanted to make sure that he got home safe. And he just like sounded horrible. And I said, babe, you cannot go to work. I said, you need to rest. I said, you're really sick. And he was like, yeah, I don't think I should go into work today. So he stayed in bed literally all day, and I stayed there too. And it was nice. It was like, you know, we just hung out in bed, and honestly, we slept a lot of the day. And I kind of like, I wondered if I was getting sick, but because my body just kind of ached and stuff, but I really think that it was from going to the personal trainer yesterday. And I'm starting, because I was going to go to the gym tonight, and I just didn't feel great. I was like, I just maybe need to wait another day. I was supposed to go today at 2:30 and meet with him, and I texted him, and I said, he was so nice. He had like watched my vlog, like the day that, like the first day that I went to the gym or whatever, because we had like been talking. He's like, what do you do? And I was like, I do this, I do that. Oh, I also make YouTube videos. And he was like, what do you make YouTube videos about? And I was telling him about my vlog and stuff. So he texted me, and he was like, I watched part of your vlog, you've got this, you can do this. And I was like, that is so nice, you know, like he didn't have to do that. And so anyway, I was supposed to go to at 2:30 today and sign up for my personal training going forward, as well as he was going to kind of go over a nutrition plan with me, and I didn't end up going. And I texted him like an hour before, and I was like, hey, sorry to give you short notice, can we reschedule this, and blah, blah, blah. And he was like, yeah, no problem. He was really nice about it. So yeah, so that's that. And but that's about what my day was like. I mean, we literally were like in and out of bed, like taking the dogs out, you know, feeding the dogs, all that kind of stuff, you know, uploading my vlog. That's really all I did today, and stayed in bed with Alex, and it was nice. It was freezing in Indianapolis today. It was like windy, icy. It was so cold outside. So it was nice to have a day to be like cuddled up, next to my husband and the dogs. And then I finally, at like 5:30, I was like, I gotta get out of this house. I gotta go do something. So I went and got a coffee, and then I came back and I finished putting my vlog up, and I finally got, I don't know when I got it up, about 6:37, something like that. Got my vlog up finally, and it took forever because it was so long. And then I went and ran some errands. I had to go to Meijer. I went to Meijer, and I had to do some other, I had to go to the post office to mail something, so I did that. And yeah, that was just about my day. And then I came home and made a little dinner. I've eaten healthy all day today. And Alex and I watched the finale of American Horror Story. I asked him, I said, what did you think? And he goes, I think it was really anticlimactic. I said, yeah, it was, but I said, I feel like I don't know, I felt like it was tied up well. I thought, you know what I mean? I did not love this season, so, but I feel like the whole thing was tied up really well. And now I'm going to get a fountain pop with Tanya. Did I say that already? So yeah, I'm going to get her. And it didn't ice or really rain at all today. It's dry outside. Do you ever feel like you get too much sleep? I feel like I got too much sleep today. Somebody left me a comment. I screenshotted it, and there was something I wanted to talk about on here. Now I can't remember what it was. Oh my gosh. Tomorrow I have like a bunch of different things I have to go do, and so I don't want to stay up too late tonight. But I do want to listen to some of my audiobooks. I've got to finish it. We were running the dishwasher when I left. Do you ever do this? And there's like 2 plates in there that are like really close together. They must be. I could have opened it and moved them, but I didn't. And they're like clanging together. Does that ever happen to you? And so like the whole time that the dishwasher's running, they're like clang, 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 clang. That's basically the story of my life right there. Did you guys watch the end of American Horror Story? What did you think of it? Did you like it? Did you think it was stupid? There are some things I would have done differently about the end. I don't really want to ruin it for anybody, but like Jessica Lange is in it at the end, but she's not in it at the capacity that I would have liked to have seen her in. And they bring back somebody else, and I think had they had her at the very end, like not at the very, very end, but like had they had her, I don't know, I just think it would have been like, the crowd would have gone crazy, you know what I mean? And to have her, if you watch it, you'll know what I'm talking about, but like, but that didn't happen. I was disappointed in that. I was like, this was your moment to like make your audience happy, and you chose not to do it. Because it doesn't fit in the storyline or whatever, which it wouldn't totally fit in the storyline. Anyway, they could have made it fit in the storyline at least. Whew. So silent out tonight. I can't believe it's almost like the week of Thanksgiving. It seems so strange. Today, like, strangely, I was thinking kind of feels a little bit like how Black Friday is, because we go shopping at like late at night on Thanksgiving, you know, like 2 in the morning on like that Friday. So we shop from like 2 to 6, and then we come home and we go to bed, and so then we sleep basically all day that Friday. So it feels a bit like that, if that makes sense. I think like I'm not real good at that. Like, you know, like, I don't know, are there any of you out there that like on the weekends, like Saturdays or Sundays, you just basically like lay on the couch and lay in bed and just like watch Netflix all day long? See, I'm not good at that. Like, I feel like I should be doing something productive, and if I'm not doing something productive, then I'm kind of like beating myself up. I'm like, why am I not doing anything productive? And I have a hard time sometimes just like sitting there and just enjoying the moment and being still and things like that, you know? And it's like, Peter, you can just enjoy the moment. You don't have to be, you know, going all the time and doing something. And my moment for me today was just being in bed with my husband. It was so funny tonight because, so last night, when I, like, made the bed so I could get into it, like, I made Alex's side a bit too. Well, tonight, when he came upstairs, he, like, made his blankets and he, like, turned it over and then got into it. And I didn't say anything, but I was like, that is so funny because that's, like, how I made it for him yesterday. And I was like, well, maybe he likes that now, you know? It smells like rose. I don't know why I've been, like, all day today, I've been smelling rose. Like rose perfume though, not like roses. You know what I mean? Like there's a difference, kind of. I don't know why I've been smelling that all day today. I'm trying to think of some stories to tell because, to be honest with you, I don't have a whole lot to tell today because my day has just not been that exciting. I got some fun videos coming up next week. I'm trying to figure out my videos that I'm going to do for, I am going to put up videos on Thanksgiving. I'm going to film them the day before. And I have a rant video that I'm going to be posting on Thanksgiving. And I think I might be doing a rant video this weekend. I have something to rant about. And yeah, I'm just going to, like, I got some other videos. I got a couple drama videos I want to do. Well, yeah, that's about the size of it. Excited to see Tanya. Tanya Jean Applestein, prettiest girl. She is not going to want to be on the vlog tonight, so I can just tell you that. Yesterday, people were like, we need more Tanya Jean in the vlog. Somebody said that, I guess. And, like, if she's, like, gotten dressed and, like, you know, she feels, like, presentable, like that, she'll be on the vlog, but she doesn't want to be on the vlog if she's, like, been laying on the couch. And I know because I talked to her earlier. I was like, what are you doing tonight? She's like, I'm going home and I'm making a fire and I'm going to catch up on my Housewives because she watches all the Real Housewives, you know. And I was like, oh, okay. And she was like, and I'm not going to go back out unless I have to. So then I texted her and I said, do you want to go get a fountain? And she said, sure. So we're going to get a fountain. Okay, well, I'm almost here, so I'm going to get off, and I will be back in just a little while. Bye. Okay, I'm back. It was a little fun drive around that we had. Solving the world's problems. I got my pop from Rickers. Diet Pepsi. I was sitting in Tanya's driveway after she got out, and I was like, looking through Twitter, and Oprah had retweeted out part of her interview with Michelle Obama about Michelle's new book that she just put out called Becoming. And I retweeted it because I love this little clip. And it was interesting what she said in there. She was talking about how, like, the question that she hates most that people ask kids is, what do you want to be when you grow up? And she said, because, you know, that gives this misconception that there's a stage you reach when you're grown up, you know, or that you've grown and you've stopped learning. And if you watch my, you know, Peterisms videos especially, and also in here, you know, I really believe this, that there's never really a time that you ever stop growing, she says. You know, you're always learning, you're always evolving. And, you know, she was like, you know, what I knew 10 years ago is not what I know now. And what I know 10 years from now won't be what I know today. And, I mean, I think it's really true. And I honestly think it's kind of something that you don't really understand until, like, you are older and you have fucked up a lot in life. But then there's enough time has gone by that what you realize is the mistakes that you've made in your life, if you're open to growth, have played a very valuable role in who you are. That really those painful mistakes that you've made are really the things that help you grow the most. You know, I believe that the really hard shit in life is, you know, when we grow the most. But I don't believe that you ever stop growing. You know, I don't think you ever stop evolving. You know, I talk about this on, what is with the light all of a sudden in here? I went back by like a construction area. I think it messed up the lighting for a second. But anyway, like, you know, I've said this on my Peterisms channel for a long time, that I believe that like life is like this school, right? And so like if you're in a certain grade and you're learning a lesson, then when you've learned that lesson, you go on to the next grade and then the next grade. But there's never a graduation from this school. Like life is just constantly this learning of lessons, you know? And that lessons are repeated until they're learned. Like that's in that book, you know, if life were a game, these are the rules. And I believe that. I believe that lessons in life continue to be repeated until you learn what you're supposed to learn from them. And then once you've really learned a valuable lesson, you know, it's like what Oprah says, you know, when you know better, you do better. And when you've learned a lesson, you move on from it, you know, and then it's like, okay, well, what's the next lesson I'm supposed to learn? And, I don't think that it makes difficult times easier necessarily, but I think that in the moment it's like you can realize that, okay, as painful as this is, there's purpose to this, and it'll eventually the purpose will eventually play out, and I'll know like why I'm going through this, if that makes sense. So I liked that clip. I think it's so true, you know, that we're always evolving and we're always growing and we're always becoming something that we're not already, and I think it's uncomfortable. I think sometimes in life like change has to happen, you know, so difficult situations, uncomfortable situations are what change us the most, for the better. You know, if you're open to it, if you're accepting of it, if, you know, you're completely resistant to it and like, no, I'm not gonna, you know, then we don't really ever learn, you know, how to grow as people. And for me at least, it's like a good attitude to have at looking at the world, because then it's like, you know, things don't just happen that don't mean anything, you know, then there's meaning to the things that are happening into my life, you know, good, bad, and different. And I don't know, I apply a lot of meaning to the things that happen in my life. I try to, at least, you know. I mean, like, what's it all for if you don't? Just to live on Earth and take as much as you can, and it's interesting to me, like, some of the wisest people that I knew in my life, that I've known in my life, never used extensive language, or didn't have a great grasp of the English language, and didn't know a lot of great words to use when they spoke things, but in very simple terms just spoke truth, you know. And then some of the people that I know that spin the biggest bullshit are the ones that seem to use words they don't even really know what they're saying. Sometimes I'm like, do you really believe that? Like, really, in your heart of hearts, do you believe that? my old sponsor was, you know, somebody that, like, my sponsor I had for the majority of my life, he just was not somebody that spoke, or he isn't somebody that I would say speaks eloquently, but he speaks like in language, like in the words that he chooses to use, but in the stories that he tells and the analogies that he uses, and you guys know I'm big on analogies too, you know, and the analogies that he uses and all that kind of stuff, you know, like, I mean, he's one of the most eloquent speakers I've ever met in my life. I mean, I can sit there and have a conversation with him for 5 minutes, and I learn something, and I look at it, I go, oh my God, I never thought of it that way, you know? I never even saw it from that point of view, you know? Today live in a oh, they had a Christmas tree in their window. I think today we very much live in a clapback society, and I can even be accused of this too at times, but I think that we live in a very much a clapback you know, society where somebody says something to you and you react. You don't respond, you react. You know, it's like, oh really, well let me tell you what I think about that. And to the point where it almost, that has become kind of like a certain amount of like, there's an art to it, you know, and like who can get the biggest clap back, and you know, like it's like this kind of verbal battle that goes on, you know. It's just like, it's draining. Like Tanya and I tonight were talking about like being emotionally drained by having conversations with people. It's like, have you ever had people in your life that like you care about them, but it's like you get off the phone and you're like, God, I'm just drained, you know. It's like, I'm sure I've done that to people many times, so many times. But I think that we're constantly evolving, constantly growing, constantly changing into people, new people. I don't know, you know, like, I mean, I think if not, you stay stagnant. And I don't want to stay stagnant. I want to continue to grow and be a better version of myself, you know. Fun driving around tonight. It was nice. She said she was so cozy at home. She's like, I had my fire going. I was so cozy. When I was growing up, like my dad, I know if I went to my dad's house right now, like my dad has a fireplace in his bedroom, fireplace in the living room, fireplace in the basement, fireplace in the kitchen. My dad like has a fire in his bedroom going like almost all the time, and like they have this huge fireplace in their bedroom, and they don't usually use the one in the living room very often. The kitchen they use a lot, and then the basement is like a gas fireplace. Tanya always has a fire going. She like always gets a box of those Duraflame logs, and she's always got a fire going in her fireplace. And when I was growing up, my dad's house, he always had fires going. Like, I mean, in the winter when I came home from school, or I was there on the weekends or whatever, the fireplace in the kitchen was always going, the fireplace in the bedroom was always going. And at my mom's house too, we had fires in both fireplaces. We had fires a lot. I remember that was like one thing that always pissed my mom off. She, like, I know this is so stupid and superficial, but she was always wanted a fireplace in the kitchen. And when my dad built his house and he had a fireplace built in the kitchen, my mom was like, I told your dad I wanted a fireplace in the kitchen, and he said it wasn't possible and it wasn't logistical, and now he has a fireplace in his kitchen. I'm like, Mom, it's not that big of a deal. It's a fireplace. She was like, I know, but I always just wanted like a reading nook next to a fireplace in the kitchen. And do you guys like when you have parties and stuff, do you stand a lot in the kitchen? I think it's always interesting that like whenever I'm, you know, of course it's because the treat tray is probably always in the kitchen too, but whenever I go to like house parties or, you know, whatever, I always end up standing in the kitchen. Like holidays, I'm always like in the kitchen talking to somebody. Someone's in the kitchen with Dinah. Are you that person? I'm always the one, like, in the kitchen, you know? Standing there while they're, like, getting the food prepared or helping them clean up or wash the dishes, put the dishes away and stuff. Like, I'm always that person that just stands in the kitchen. I don't know what that is. It's kind of like my safe zone. Do you know what question I really hate? Like, this is a question I am not excited about with, like, going to Christmas parties and holidays and stuff, is when you go and you sit down and somebody comes up and goes, now, Peter, tell me what's going on with you. What's new? And you're like, I haven't seen you in 2 years. Like, how do you put that? Like, how do you explain to somebody 2 years of your life in, like, 30 seconds? You know what I mean? And then I don't really think that they're really that interested. That's, like, the thing, you know? It's like, do you ever find that people ask you that, but they don't really want to know? It's like they'll go, so what's new with you? What have you been doing lately? And you start telling them, and then they're like, and then they're like, look up. I have to go talk to my sister Judy for a second. I'll be right back. I really want to hear what you have to say, but just give me 5 minutes. And then they never come back, and you're like so thankful. You're like, thank God they didn't come back. Because you don't really want to have to talk about it anyway. You're like, my life is not that exciting, but thank you for showing interest. And then you just sit there and you drink your Diet Coke in your Christmas outfit that that took you 3 hours putting together, and you were nervous as shit that you would look stupid and nobody's even noticing you at the party. And then you're like sitting there talking and you're like, I hope nobody else comes up and talks to me. But at the same time, you're like, nobody's talking to me. I don't know anybody at this party. There's Peter at Christmas parties, forever socially awkward. I'm not a big lover of Christmas parties. Now, Alex's like work parties every year, I really enjoy going to. They're fun, but because it's always something different every year, you know. And everybody gets dressed up and looks so pretty, and get invited to a couple parties. I think it's weird when people have Christmas parties. People usually have Christmas parties like the first week of December, which I think is so strange. I don't know if I've told this story on here before. I think I have. But this one year when I was working in treatment, this probably was towards... This was probably 4 years before I left, 4 or 5 years before I left. So our Christmas parties would always be, like, on, like, the Friday of the last week. Because, so, whatever Christmas fell on that next week, like, a lot of people would take off. Because the way that we got we had accrued time. And so most of us took that last week off, you know, like, I think my last day was always like the 21st, 22nd of work, but I worked late because my mom and I, and then my ex, sometimes we would go towards like the end, the last couple of years. Well, when he and I were together, I would say the last 4 years, and then the last year my mom and I went, so 5 years, I think we went down to Gatlinburg and we got a cabin. And we would usually go down there on the 22nd or the 23rd. So they would always have the Christmas, so like that was a Tuesday, let's say, or if that was a Sunday or whatever when Christmas was going to be, they would always have the Christmas party the Friday before because everybody would take off the next week. And so like the Christmas party would be at like 2 or 3 in the afternoon. And because, you know, everybody would leave early. I think it was like at 2 in the afternoon or something. And it would be in the auditorium. You know, it's interesting when I look back on that and how, like, cheesy I loved that stuff, and I just loved those, as silly as it is. I've told the one year about when we all got our Christmas bonuses and they made us walk up there and all that kind of stuff. Now, that was not a shiny moment, but I look back on, like, those little Christmas parties, and they just were so, I don't know, they were nice, they were cheesy, you know, but like, so we would come in, and then they'd have all the tables, you know, from the cafeteria, they had brought them in there, and they all had, like, tablecloths on them, and, you know, it was low lit, and I remember in the middle of the table, they would have, like chocolates and stuff, you know, and then we would go through like a little buffet, and they had like Swedish meatballs and cheese and some kind of dip. I mean, nothing huge or fancy, but it was just, you know, nice. And then we would sit there, and they'd have Christmas music, and then they would usually like hand out the bonuses, or talk about, like, they'd have somebody, you know, talk about like the end of the year stuff and the goals for the next year and all that kind of stuff. And then slowly people, like, you could stay as long as you wanted, but then slowly people would leave. Well, I remember this girl that I used to work with, like, everybody else had left, and it was just she and I, and we were, like, you know, the two left. And so the weather outside that had started, like, we had started getting snow that morning, and it was predicted that we were supposed to get like a shit ton of snow, and it was supposed to be really bad. And I literally lived at that time, like, I could leave work, or I could leave my apartment and get to work in probably less than 12 or 15 minutes. So we leave, and I had, oh, this was the other thing, I had quit smoking like the week before, and so I had like no cigarettes, right? And was totally craving a cigarette. I don't know how long I had quit, 2-3 days, a week, I don't know. So I don't think it was a week, I think it was like 2 days, it was something real short. But anyway, I was so craving a cigarette. And so we leave, and we get in traffic, and so to get to my apartment, I had to go through like where the mall is. Literally gridlock traffic, and they're like, to get onto the main road, there's like 2 roads there that verge onto the main like road that goes to like the mall. So it's 2 different roads that all have to like turn left. It's a mess. Well, I mean, it was gridlock traffic every way, and it's just snowing. It took me like an hour and a half. So going this way, so if we had been going that way, like towards my home, it was super slow. But going the other way, there was like no traffic whatsoever, because that was like going, you know, anyway, most people lived on the other side, like the north side. So I sat there for like an hour and a half, and I was like, there has to be a cigarette in this car somewhere. Like, there has to be a cigarette in this car. I like became like frantic about it. And so like I put my car in like park, and I got out, and I started looking through my seats and whatever, and I found this like cigarette butt that still had like probably 4 drags off of it. And I sat there and I smoked that cigarette, and I literally turned, and I had already waited like an hour and a half in traffic. I turned and like went back to the gas station and got a pack of cigarettes. I was like, I don't care how long I have to wait in traffic, but I'm gonna smoke if I have to be in traffic. I was so over it. Yeah. And then it took me like another 2 hours to get home, and I can remember I got home, I was so thankful I was home. Those little Christmas parties, isn't it funny, the things we remember? Remember being a kid, and in class you wear like your red turtleneck, and you'd have the Christmas party at the end of the year, and you'd have like the red and green cupcakes, frosted cupcakes, and remember the holiday concert they would have every year. Wasn't there always something about being in school like after hours, like when you weren't supposed to be there? So I was in orchestra, my friends were in choir, so we would always have like, you know, these quarterly concerts, you know, and there'd always be like the holiday concert. And I can remember us like running around the hallways, like while it was, because, you know, it'd be like 3 hours of this, and, you know, all the different choirs and stuff. And I can remember all of us like running through the hallways, and it was just like this feeling about being in school at a time when like school wasn't really in session, you know what I mean? That was so like kind of surreal. That's the kind of stuff that, like, at the time that it's happening, it's like you don't really realize, like, what kind of, like, a moment it is, and then you get older and you look back on all of that, you know? another thing that sucks about getting older is by the time, like, well, I mean, there's several things. There's a lot of good things that come with getting older too, you know? I think we always talk about the negative of getting older and aging, but we don't talk necessarily about the positive. But by the time that you realize those things that meant the most to you in life, it's kind of too late to enjoy them anymore or go back and relive them. Or it's been so long since you remembered, you know, what that meant to you. I heard that in a TV show sometimes, somebody talking about like how magical school felt like after hours when, you know, the teachers were gone and like you weren't really supposed to be there because it was like a weird hour, you know. It's like when you'd see a teacher, like, you know, out at a restaurant or something, and it felt like so weird, you know. And you're like, well, they're not really, like, this doesn't feel right. You like they'd say hi to you, and it felt weird that your teacher was saying hi to you outside of school. They'd be like, I can remember, they'd be like, well, let me introduce you to my husband and my kids, and you'd be like, okay, Mrs. Jones. Then you tell all your friends, oh my God, I was out to dinner with my mom and Mrs. Jones was there with her husband and her kids. It cut off. But it's so weird. I saw Mrs. Jones. Where did you see her? Fridays. Why was she even at Fridays? I know, that is weird. Why would she go to Fridays? I don't know. Do you think they go there all the time? I'm never going to Fridays again. Me neither. Not if Mrs. Jones goes there. I remember our friends, my friends that were twins, they were like the youngest of 6 kids, and we were all a bunch of hooligans in high school. There was about 7 of us, 6 or 7 of us that were friends together. And their house was kind of the house that we always went to in high school. Like, that's where we would all, you know, like go and plan our night or whatever. And so, like, their mom was like super religious, and she was always at the kitchen table reading the Bible. And I'm just gonna say her name, like their name was Smith, let's just say. And so we would all like park out front, you know, because we never, any of us wanted to go in there alone with Mrs. Smith. We would wait for our friends to get home, and then we would all like march in, like all 7 of us, like in a row. We would like go through, because they had like a mud room and then the kitchen, and then you go in the living room and then the stairs. We would go upstairs to their bedroom and like all hang out in there and stuff like that. And so we'd like all march in with our heads down. We'd be like, hi, Mrs. Smith, hi, Mrs. Smith, hi, Mrs. Smith. God, it's so weird to think, like, that we survived high school with no cell phones. You know what I mean? That we had no cell phones back in the day. Like, it's so weird to me now, you know, like cell phones would have changed so much of my high school experience, I think. Do you know what is so funny? I don't know why I just remembered this. Did you guys ever play CB tag? Okay, we played CB tag in high school. So, do you guys know what a CB is? I don't even know what it stands for. What does it stand? I don't know. I don't remember what a CB stands for, but it's the cab something, I don't know, maybe calling something, I don't know. But it's the thing that like trucks have, like semis. They have those, you know, like breaker, candy cane, like that, right? Okay, well, my friend, she had one. She drove this shitty ass old Cadillac Riviera. Do you remember those that have like the tent in the back, the one like that? But she had a RB, is that what it's called? CB in it. And radio. Is it a CB? Is that what it's called? I can't remember. But anyway, She had one in it, and like a couple of our other friends had it. So we would like play tag, CB tag, and you would like go around and you would give like a hint to where you're at, and then you had to stay there until like they came close to, and then you could leave, and then like the next part, and then you had to like lose them, and then once you lost them, then like you could like give another hint. And do you remember that? Oh my god, did you ever play that? It was so much fun. We used to do that back in the day. We just sit in the back and smoke cigarettes and gossip about stuff. That was so fun. And then I'd come in and my mom would be like, what'd you do tonight? Nothing. You didn't do anything? No, we just hung out. If I had told my mom that we were playing CB tag, she probably would have lost her shit. She'd probably been like, you're doing what? She was always so confused by stuff. Like my mom, when I would like try to tell her something that we did, she'd be like, I don't understand. And what did you do? We just walked around downtown, Mom. We went into the Hilton. We sat at the restaurant. We had coffee. We met this homeless lady. We talked to her for an hour. She said she used to live in Paris. That's the truth. We did meet this lady. And she said she had worked for all the fashion designers in Paris. We used to go down there and say hi to her all the time, and she was always drinking tea in this restaurant in the downstairs of the Hilton, and so we would go in there and we would all drink coffee. We would like go places and never order food. I bet waitresses hated seeing us come in. I'm sure there's a bunch of you out there that did the same thing. We would come in and we would never order one bit of food. It'd literally be like 6 cups of coffee and a Coke or something, you know, and the whole bill, and then we'd be like, or waters or and a cup of coffee or something, you know. We just sit there for hours, just hours, you know. Now I think a lot of those places have like rules where you have to order food and stuff, but I don't remember that being like a requirement back in the day that you had to order food. Was it? I don't remember that. But we would go sit down at the downstairs of this Hilton, downtown Indianapolis. Sometimes we would go and walk on the roof too, because they had like a pool up there and you could like look all over the city. It was real pretty. But we would go sit in this restaurant that was like on the corner, so you could like look outside and watch people walking by and stuff. And we would go down there, and there was this lady, and she was like she had like a cart and stuff. She was like homeless, but you really wouldn't know that she was like kind of like, I mean, she didn't look like what you would think. Like she was dressed like pretty nice and stuff, but she would talk about how she'd say, I've got like, she wrote down this address for us one time, and I think I kept it. I have this box of notes and all this kind of stuff. Every like souvenir memorabilia from high school, I have it in my basement, this huge box. I should like go through it sometime. That would make an interesting vlog, wouldn't it? But anyway, show pictures of me from high school. Woo! But if you guys want to see all that, or have me go through that box, put it in the comment section below. That would be a fun vlog. I would do that. So we talked to her, and we loved this woman, and she'd be like, I used to work for all of the fashion designers in Paris, and we'd be like, you did? Mm-hmm, yeah, all of them. They all wanted me to work for them. We're like, really? We believed every word this woman said to us. Yes, we believed it. Yes, I worked for every single one of them. How did you end up in here? Oh, or how'd you end up in Indianapolis? It's a long story, she'd always say. I bet it was. Funny enough, though, later, well, obviously years later, because it was our neighbor not too long ago, Alex and I had this neighbor that lived next door to us. I don't even know if she's alive anymore, but she was in a nursing home for a while, and they did like last rites on her and everything, and she came back out of it, and then she was completely fine. She's like, I need a new set of pajamas. That's what our neighbor told us. Our neighbor's grandma that runs the neighborhood, that's what she told me. But anyway, we never talked very much. Like one night she got like real scared. The electricity went out, and so I had to go help her get back. She was lost, and so she was like, Peter, Alex, we could hear her through the wall. But anyway, I've told that story before. But I was talking to her one time outside towards the end before she moved. This lady, I swear to God, she drove until she was like 98 years old. But she was out there and she was baking or something. And I said, oh, what are you baking? She's like, pies and whatever. And I said, oh, really? I said, do you have like family that you like to give your pies and stuff to? She goes, no, I just like to make them for people that I like. And then she goes, you might get one day. I never did. But anyway, we sat there and talked, and I never talked to her really, and she had lived there when my mom lived there too, you know, like the last, I don't know, 10 years of my mom's life, she had lived there as well. And my mom didn't really know a whole lot about her either. I don't think they interacted. She kind of kept to herself. And but we talked, and I said, you know, something about like, well, I said, you don't have family here? Are you not from here? And she said, no, I'm not from here. And I think she said she was from St. Louis or something. I can't remember. I really don't remember, honestly. And she said she used to live in New York, and she was a seamstress, and she worked for, you know, this fashion designer and that. And I was like, really? And she was like, oh yeah. And she moved here because of a friend, and she talked to me a little bit about like the fashion industry and how it had changed and what she did back in the day and all this kind of stuff. It was so interesting to sit there and listen to her talk about it. And then when she moved into the assisted living program and they were selling her condo, now the person that owns it, like our neighbor now, her grandma has lived in the neighborhood forever, and her dad ended up buying that condo and letting her live in it. I think she pays some rent or something, I don't know. But anyway, so her grandma came over and she said, you know, they're getting ready to sell the condo. Do you want to come in and see it, like before they like sell it to somebody else? Because I can show it to you now, because she had like the keys to it. And because she's kind of the one that like takes care of a lot of stuff in the neighborhood. And I was like, yeah, I'd love to see that condo, because every condo is different. And I was like, yeah, I'd love to see it. And so we went down in the basement. Like, we have a full basement, but like she had like a real small basement. But she had like 3 dress forms down there, and she had like all these newspapers like framed and stuff of like her with like, it was so cool. And it was, you know, like she really had been like somebody that was like a seamstress for a fashion designer. It was very cool. It's interesting, you don't really know people's stories when you see them, you know? We assume we know a lot about people, and we really don't. It's like, have you ever talked to somebody and they have like this whole interesting part of their life that like you don't know anything about, you know what I mean? It's like, wow, I never even knew that about you, you know? It's like every once in a while, even though Tanya and I have been friends for so long, she'll say something to me and it's like, God, I didn't even know that, you know? She's like, how did you not know that? I've told you that before. And I'm like, have you? She's like, yeah. I'm like, well, I don't remember that. That's an interesting question though, like when I was talking about Michelle Obama saying like, you know, the question she hates is like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I think it's an interesting concept though, like, you know, I think sometimes it's dangerous too, like, you know, especially today when we're such like a career focused society and mentality, that it's like, okay, you ask somebody like in 7th or 8th grade, well, what do you want to do when you grow up, right? And they say, oh, well, I want to be a doctor. Why? Because I don't know, maybe their dad's a doctor, or they watch ER or Grey's Anatomy or something, you know, and or Botched, and they want to, you know, but for some reason they want to be a doctor. Well, so then they like take all these classes in high school, like, you know, the serious science and math classes to get them into college of their choice, because that's what they need. They need to get a certain SAT score to get into a certain college that has a good pre-med program. And then they get into the pre-med program, and then it's like, okay, they work super hard so that they can get into a certain medical school and get good MCAT scores. And then they get into the medical school, and then it's like, you know, they decide that they want to go into pediatrics. Well, why? Oh, I've just always loved kids. I used to babysit, you know, like, I don't know, and they have personal experiences that lead them there. And it's like this whole decision that you made that was going to scope your entire life, you basically made in 6th or 7th grade. Like, I had no clue in 6th or 7th grade who I wanted to be as a person. Shit, I have no idea where I want to be 10 years from now, you know, or what I want to do with my life. apparently I'll still be vlogging, since so many of you the other day said, you better keep on vlogging, you better not quit vlogging. So many of you, did I say something on that vlog that made, like, that elicited that response? Because so many people were like, oh my God, you better yes, I'm planning to keep vlogging. I love this. I love talking to you guys. You're so sweet. I like went through there, I got all these like comments, and it was like, oh, I love your vlogging, please don't ever stop, and you better keep vlogging. I was like, what did I say? Did I say in there like, I'll keep vlogging? Oh, maybe it was when I was talking about my friend asking me how long I was gonna vlog for, and I said, I guess until people are still watching. Is that what it was? Maybe, I don't know. I'd love to do this for 10, 15 years. I think it would be fun, you know? It's enjoyable to me. And it's also become something that's a ritual for me, you know? I get to relive a lot of things, like stories of my life, and it's cathartic as well. Like, I think through shit. It's basically like me driving around in a car talking out loud to myself. Oh, really? You just figured that out, Peter, after almost 2 years. I can hardly believe, you guys, that I have almost been vlogging for 2 years straight. 700 days I've almost been vlogging for straight. Like, that's so crazy to me. But I've loved it. It's been so much fun. And I'm not stopping anytime soon. It's even actually been easier now, which I just figured out this year. I think this started with me when we went to Miami this year, because I was having such a hard time uploading it and getting the other videos uploaded all at the same time before we would like go to the music festival. And so I started like rendering it at night and then uploading it. Like, I would start rendering it, and then I would watch a TV show, and then by the time the TV show was done and I was ready to go to bed in Miami, I would upload it. And so when I woke up, the vlog was uploaded, if that makes sense. And I've started doing that, and so it's easier, because then when I wake up, typically in the day, when I wake up, unless if the vlog is really long, like last night it was so long that like I couldn't get it rendered and done in time before I was ready to go to bed. But typically if I do, then the next day I just wake up and the vlog is ready. I did that Burt's Bees review, and I have to say, I don't love Burt's Bees, but if I had to pick one chapstick, and even this one is really greasy, it's kind of greasy, I think. This is, I have my reading glasses on, it's pear. It's something in pear. Somebody sent me this. I love this chapstick. It's like such a clean flavor. It doesn't feel like chapsticky, you know. I know that sounds crazy, but like even like a lot of the cosmetic lip balms like Chanel or Pat McGrath, even the Kiehl's, taste very cosmetic, very like chemically, and this one tastes very natural. It doesn't taste very much like, I mean, I can smell like the pear highlights in it, but it doesn't, you guys are like, this is so corny, but it doesn't smell too much like pear that it's like overwhelming. It's just very natural, and it kind of keeps my lips just really like nice. I like it. But I find with any chapstick that you have to use it quite a bit because your lips dry up. I'm just really weird about having dry lips anyway. I don't like my lips to be cracked or dry or anything. Man, I was looking in the mirror earlier from sleeping all day today and just being in bed and all that kind of stuff. I had bags for days underneath my eyes. I was like, what is going on here? You ever just like look at your face and you're like, I don't know if you can see it, but like my eyes are just like, they still look like it tonight. When Tony and I were in the gas station, I noticed it. I like looked at myself in the mirror and I was like, what is going on with your eyes, Peter? That's where I think maybe I slept too much, you know? I'm not somebody that gets like huge bags underneath my eyes or dark circles underneath my eyes, but when I get them bad. I use that, you know what that product, the brand is called, I think it's called Say Yes or something like that. It's like a cosmetic brand. They sell it at Target and stuff like that. That's where I got this. But I got this like eye serum stuff, and you're supposed to put it around your eyes, and it's supposed to reduce puffiness in the mornings. And typically what I'll do is I'll put it on and let it dry a little bit, and then I'll put like a cup of coffee face mask on. And it really helps. Like, I really believe in that stuff for like raising, like taking away the puffiness around my eyes. And it's not expensive either. I like little tricks like that. Do you guys have any tricks for getting rid of puffiness around your eyes? I would think just like a warm washcloth would work. I'm sure there's some life hack out there about how to do it though. Do you guys know any life hacks to get rid of the puffiness around your eyes? And like I said, I don't really struggle with it a whole lot, you know? But this morning, I didn't get up this morning, but today, I really struggled with it. Somebody on my vlog said that they like to hear the sound in my car, like that's their like sound machine sound, and they like to listen to it when they fall asleep. Oh, somebody also said, and this is not a current comment, this is a comment from like, I think it was on the video, it must have been on the video with the, what do you call it, the cooler on the side of the road, and I kind of did like a jump scare kind of thing. And somebody said, don't do that because I listen to your vlogs when I'm going to sleep and it woke me up. I won't do it anymore, I promise. I had never thought about it that way, that so many of you like watch my vlogs late at night. I don't know, it's just, you guys are so wonderful and you say the nicest things in your life. Your voice is so soothing. I love to listen to your voice as I'm falling asleep, and thank you. My feet kind of hurt today. I've been like achy all over. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's from the personal training appointment or what. But weirdly enough, that kind of motivates me to keep on going to him, because it's like the 2 or 3 previous times I worked out, I was sore like after the second time, but I didn't feel like that. Like, I mean, he wrecked me, right? And I'm like, okay, so if he, by having me do like, you know, squats and lunges and these kinds of things, if I was this tortured when I left, then what that tells me is like, I need to be doing that. Like, that's going to be the stuff that's going to really work me out and keep me focused. Like, those are the workouts that I need to be doing. So, I think that's good, you know? I think it's good to do something that's gonna really, as much as I don't want to do that, I think it's good to do something that's gonna really put, like my body to the test, to the workout. Because then what it tells me is that it's really working like the core groups, you know? And that's what I need, so. This whole new world is so kind of interesting for me. Like, I'm trying to do it from a different point of view, you know, and our like whole freezer is all like Morningstar stuff right now, and then it's got like, you know, I've got all this fruit and vegetables in the fridge, and I'm really trying hard to eat healthy and just stay motivated, and then like just taking all of the suggestions that people give me, and, you know, trying to stay positive and focused, and I think for me, when I start seeing like real results, like if I've hit like a certain like weight, like I think once I've hit like I've lost a certain amount of, and I know it's not just about the weight, but I think once I've lost a certain amount of weight and I'm starting to feel better, or starting to fit into some of my smaller clothes, I think I'll start being more motivated by it, because I can remember in the past, like, that was for me, like, when I could fit into my clothes again slowly, I got real excited about that. I started feeling better about myself, you know what I mean? But, like, that's going to take some time, so I don't know. I'm just, you know, I'm going with the flow right now, and yeah, you know, it's going to stop. So, okay, I let the semis go by me for a second. Oh, wait, hold on. Don't stop believing. There were, like, semis all around me. It was like, what's that called? What's that called when semis are all in a row? Not a caravan, but shoot, there was even a movie that was called that. Why can't I remember what that was? Do you guys remember what I'm talking about? With all the semis in a row. What was that movie called? My dad loved that movie. It was like one of those Smokey and the Bandit kind of movies. But anyway, I'm just trying to go with the flow, you know, of like working out and being consistent with it and all that. But like, that's why I don't want to get away from it too many days. Like I did, like last night, I think probably would have been too much because, you know, I did it yesterday, but then I'm okay that I skipped tonight, but I've got to go tomorrow. So I keep on going, you know, consistently. And I've got to stay on track with the eating. Because structure is really good for me, and the more that I eat healthy, the more I'm motivated to eat healthy. And then when I go to the grocery store, I'm not so tempted to buy all of the BS, you know. It was interesting because somebody commented and said something about when I held up the Twinkies, and I don't know if they were joking or not. They were like, do you really think the Twinkies are that good of an idea? Like, I'm not going to sit there and eat the Twinkies. Like, okay, I'm going to take a Twinkie and I'm going to eat like a bite or two of it. And I have like 6 different kinds of Hostess holiday items, and take like a bite or two of it and probably do it on a cheat day. But I will also be considering those calories into what, I mean, I know that that's not healthy, right? But I also do believe that I can do that and still eat healthy. Like, it's not a mukbang. Like, let's just be for real. I'm not going to eat the entire container, you know what I mean? But I'm very aware of that, you know, and thinking about like doing those food reviews on that channel. I like doing food reviews on that channel, but you know, like if I'm reviewing a candy, I don't have to eat the entire bag of candy. I can eat like 2 candies, do you know what I mean? So my plan with that stuff is, because I bought all the Little Debbie holiday things too. I have all of them, like all of the Little Debbie holiday cakes, is to like take a bite or two out of them, you know, and then like the rest of the Little Debbie things, like give to Alex to take to work, or the ones that he wants, because Alex likes Little Debbie things. Sometimes he can keep which ones he wants, and you know, or he can take it to work, and then they can have them at work, you know what I mean? Moderation. And I think it's good for me to learn about moderation anyway, you know, and talking about that, it's like, I have to be able to learn how to do that stuff. So, but not everything that not every food that I would be reviewing on my channel is going to be unhealthy either. I mean, the majority of it is, because it's not, I mean, it's holiday stuff right now, you know, but it'll be other stuff, but like, like some of the stuff that I want to review on there is like not totally unhealthy, so. Don't yawn with me, don't fall asleep. you guys have exciting weekends. You're watching this on Friday. Thank God it's Friday. It sure does not feel like Friday at all. Not one bit. I hope my husband starts feeling better. He needs to just rest and get better. Which he did today, but like maybe not, you know. We don't need to be doing a lot of running around this weekend and stuff. I know we'll do brunch on Sunday, and then I don't know what else. I don't have really anything else planned this weekend. I don't think he does either. He hasn't said he has anything else. So maybe we'll just hang out at the house. Maybe watch some movies. We watched American Horror Story tonight, so we don't have to catch up on that. And that's the only show that we watched together except for Real Housewives of Atlanta. But I watched half of that last night, and then tonight he turned on and goes, "Did you start watching this already?" I was like, "Yeah, I had to. I didn't have anything else to eat, too." To eat. I have to have a TV show to eat, too. He was like, "Oh, okay." I go, "I'll watch it with you again. I don't care." I need some new shows to watch. Tanya was like, "Oh, this season of Walking Dead is so good." I go, "Don't tell me I'm 2 seasons behind." She's like, "It's so good." And then I started asking her some questions and she wouldn't tell me. And I go, "I'm not going to ever catch up on it anyway." I started trying to watch it again, but I'm 2 seasons behind, Tanya. She goes, "You could just watch this season. You don't need to know the rest." I go, "No, I don't want to. I'm not going to do that. Like, I'm not going to watch a show and not watch the 2 previous seasons. Like, if I'm going to, I invested that much time into it. If I'm going to watch it, I'm going to watch those 2 seasons and then catch up." She's like, "It's really good." But see, like, why is it that everybody in my life could literally watch 2 seasons of Walking Dead in, like, a weekend? I just can't. Like, I would have a really hard time. Even though, like I said on here, like, I would feel like I had accomplished something at the same time. If that is all I did over the course of a weekend was just watch The Walking Dead, as enjoyable as that sounds to me, I would feel like I really hadn't done much over the weekend, you know? Oh well. Conjunction, junction, what's your function? Do you guys remember watching those when you were a kid? On TV? Those cartoons? I had the album of those, and I think it was by the same people that did Free to Be You and Me. Do you remember that? I loved that little cartoon movie or whatever it was. I had that album, Free to Be You and Me. I don't know how I remember that. I really have no idea how I remember Free to Be You and Me. Conjunction, junction, what's your function? Perkins, comfort food, comfortable prices. I love Perkins. Oh, I got some Morningstar breakfast sandwiches, vegetarian, and then they're like cheese, sausage patties, and egg. I'm so excited about those. Oh, I should have got some ketchup for them. I like to dip those in ketchup. And then I got the sausage links too. Have you ever tried those? I know I have tried them at some point, but I just don't remember when. It's kind of exciting to find, like, new food to eat. You know, and new things that I want to try. Alex is helping me, though, like, because I'm not good at looking, like, at the whole, like, thing, you know, and, like, the sugars and kind of putting it all together and, like, considering that stuff as well. Like, I always look at, like, calories, fat, and protein, and so he was like, well, you need to look at sodium, you need to look at sugar, you know, it's like, he's like, especially since you like to eat a lot of, like, pre-processed food that are, like, meals, you really need to look at the sodium on there, and I know a lot of you have commented about that, too, because, like, in lean cuisines and stuff, like, the sodium level is, like, super high. on a lot of them. But there are some that they aren't that high too. So anyway, he was like, you just need to be, you know, you need to think about that stuff while you're eating those foods, because those things are unhealthy for you as well. He's like, a certain amount of, you know, fat is good for you, a certain kind of fat. You have to look at the trans fat and all that kind of stuff. So he was helping me with all of that. This upcoming week, I get to start watching Christmas movies all the time. I kind of have been a little bit, but not too much. But I'm going to start watching like the Hallmark and Lifetime Christmas movies. I love those kind of Christmas movies so much. I love the ones that take place like in small towns. If you guys have like a favorite Hallmark or Lifetime Christmas movie, could you put it in the comment section below? I'd love to know what some of yours are, and I'm going to go look them up. My favorites are Season of Miracles. I love that one. Smoky Mountain Christmas. Mine are always so dated. You know which one I love is, I can't think of what it's called, but I actually have it on DVD. I bought it a couple years ago when I saw it like at Walmart or somewhere. It's from the guy that was in Dukes of Hazzard, and he has like a son, and he's like a semi-truck driver. Do you know what I'm talking about? They have to like take a truck from one place to another, and it's called something like Creek, something River, or something like that. But anyway, it's really good. I love that one. I don't so much love the ones that like take place in New York City, and it's like two people work for a business, and there's like a Christmas party, and then they're like, oh, we should go on a date, and of course they go to Rockefeller Square or Circle or whatever it's called, and then they like, you know, oh, we should go ice skating, and it's like, I don't love those so much. I think they're cheesy. I like the ones that take place like in small towns. I think it was last year, it was either last year or the year before, I read The Christmas Box by Richard Paul Evans. I think it must have been last year, because I read a ton of Christmas books last year. I tried to read as many Christmas books as I possibly could last year. The Christmas Train by David Baldacci, if you're looking for a holiday book, is probably one of my favorite holiday books. It was so good. But The Christmas Box by Richard Paul Evans, and there's like, I don't know, 3 or something in the series. They're just kind of real depressing, to be honest with you. And the guy that played John Boy in the Waldens, he's in them, was just real depressing, and I didn't love it. And then I started watching the movie, and the movie almost kind of spooked me. I think there was something about it I didn't like. I don't know. I like when they're kind of uplifting, you know? There was one back in the day, I have the DVD for this one too. It's called like A Christmas to Remember or something. And it's with Angela Lansbury, and she plays like, so this woman, like her family owned this little department store in this small town, and her husband's now the manager, and her parents are dead, and he's like ran the store like into the ground. I can't remember who the woman is. It's the main star in it. She's been in a lot of things though. But anyway, Angela Lansbury was her mother, and she like has these memories of Angela Lansbury. Like Angela Lansbury comes back to life, like as a ghost. She's like out of it at Christmas, and she's having like these ghost memories, and she's gone back in time or something. And did you ever see that? It was so good. I love that one. I have a couple of the DVD. Oh, A Hobo's Christmas. I love that one. I have a couple of those DVDs too that have like all of the Christmas movies listed around. There's like 10 Christmas. They're always like the Lifetime or Hallmark movies. There's like 10 Christmas movies on a DVD. Do you know what I'm talking about? I love those too. Even though I haven't watched many of them. So yeah, list your favorite holiday movie below. Not favorite, but like your favorite made for TV Halloween. List your favorite holiday movie, and then also list your favorite like made for television holiday movie. I keep on wanting to say Halloween. Holiday movie. Because I want to try some new ones this year that I haven't seen. Get a new favorite, maybe. Why can't I think of any other holiday movies I'm trying to think of? If you've never seen Bad Santa, you should see Bad Santa. It's a really good Christmas movie. Alright, I said I was not going to make this vlog super long tonight, and I have really no idea how long it's going to be right now, but I don't want to make it an hour and a half, hour and 40 minutes, so I think I'm probably close to an hour, so I'm going to get off here, and let me know your plans for the weekend below. I hope you guys are having a wonderful start to your weekend. I love you, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.